Hi folks, so I had in the new moon in Cancer video, I had talked about two videos that I would do, and this is the first of those two videos, and this one talks about short-term transits, particularly in the sign of Gemini, that are worth talking about. And then there was another video I was going to do, which I'll do in the next couple of days, around transits in Taurus. Now, I want you to bear with me. Planets as they transit across various parts of the chart. And right now, I'm most interested in Aries, where we have Jupiter, Chiron, and Mars. Taurus, where we had the last solar eclipse, and where within this kind of Taurian solar eclipse period, where we are required to lean into and develop that part of our chart right now. And right now, we've got Uranus and the North Node transiting there, with Mars getting ready to come into Taurus from Aries on July the 5th. We have the sign of Gemini, where we've got Mercury and Venus, and of course we've got the sign of Cancer, where we had the new moon 2 days ago, and the moon just moved into Leo. But we've got Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer as potential players in a narrative. We've also got, it has to be said, Pluto in Capricorn, Saturn in Aquarius, and Neptune in Pisces, and the eclipses of release in Scorpio. So it's a fairly even distribution, but if you just go around, at the very least you've got Pluto in Capricorn, Saturn in Aquarius, Neptune in Pisces, Jupiter, Chiron, and Mars currently in Aries, Uranus in the North Node in Taurus, Venus and Mercury in Gemini, and the new moon that we just had in Cancer. And the question is, how do they all align? The secret lies in three primary sort of things that are brewing. We've had Pluto in Capricorn for a long time. So the Capricorn part of your chart is going through a significant transformation, and as long as it's not it could be creating endings there, but with Pluto, the transformations, if you lean into them and avail of them, I find that Plutonian transformations are necessary. They're challenging because we're often asked to release, or things kind of burn to the ground that we are attached to, that are part of our life and part of our reality, but they are a necessary part of our evolution. The Aquarius part of our chart is where, now that's one area of kind of long-term transformation. Another part of the chart that has had a relatively long-term influence is Neptune and Pisces, where since we had the eclipses of release in this part of the chart in 2014, 15, 16, particularly 15 and 16, what I have been trying to convey to you is that there is some sort of sense of loss potentially associated with the Pisces part of your chart that has been going on since then, and that might, for some of you, have a murkiness to it, have a sense of deceit, have a sense of gaslighting, have a sense of storytelling, have a sense of thievery to the Pisces part of your chart. So we've got Pluto in Capricorn, a transformation in Capricorn that is really starting to move towards some sort of closure, and you should be able to feel that sense of closure. I mean, Pluto's currently retrograde. It's going to spend a little bit more time in Capricorn, but it's in the last 6 odd degrees of Capricorn now, getting ready to tie up and finish what needs to be finished up. We've got Neptune in the last 6 odd degrees of Pisces, also trying to finish up what needs to be finished up. And keep in mind that Saturn enters Pisces in March of 2023 for about 2.5 years. So the Pisces part of your chart, as I've mentioned to you numerous times, has been under a lot of pressure. And Saturn's coming in there is going to try to tie up what needs to be tied up, but Saturnian tie-ups are not necessarily tie-ups that we look forward to. There's an element of consequence there that we're going to be dealing with, from 2023 to about early 2026. So Pluto in Capricorn, Neptune in Pisces, longer term transits that are pinning down the chart. The eclipses of release in Scorpio may have some sort of tie-in to the Neptune and Pisces transit that has been going on since 2014, 15, 16, particularly 15, 16. Okay, so if you know where Scorpio is in your chart and whatever it is that needs to be released there, remember that from October to May of next year, October of this year to May of next year, we're going to have a complete eclipse cycle, a solar eclipse in October, a lunar eclipse in May 2023, where a lot of that release work will occur. We may have been given clues or signs of what needs to be released in the Scorpio part of our chart between the middle of March to the middle of May of this year already. Okay, I know it's a lot. It's a lot. So just take it one step at a time, and the narrative will make more sense. So we have the Capricorn part of a chart, which is going through a Plutonian transformation, a massive, unpreventable transformation. We've got the Pisces part of the chart, where either you're experiencing some sort of spiritual or artistic renaissance. I mean, that's not the right word, but upheaval or inspiration in a good way, in a positive way, or else you're experiencing kind of shadowy, murky happenings to do with loss, a real awareness of needing to detach from certain things, or how certain things that you may have expected to be yours are not going to be yours. Or with Neptune, I always say, because it's such a mystical planet, and because it is associated with a loss of self, I always say, Neptune is the planet that reminds us, sorry about that, police car. It's evening time in Los Angeles, in Glendale, so sound really carries now. Maybe you didn't hear it that loudly. Irrespective, the Neptune. Neptune always reminds us, that we come in with nothing. Nobody and nothing is ours. Always kind of an uncomfortable truth. So somewhere an experience of loss, and sometimes Neptune then creates that by deceit or thievery or underhanded behaviors. Depending on where Pisces sits in your chart, you may be the one perpetrating these behaviors, or there may be something there that you are aware of from a gaslighting perspective, someone having designs or someone undermining that part of the chart. Okay. The third area where we've got kind of a relatively long-term thing going on here that we can't ignore is the Taurus part of your chart, where we have the North Node eclipses. We had a solar eclipse on April the 30th, and we have a corresponding lunar eclipse on November the 8th of this year. And we're in the middle of this cycle. And Mars enters Taurus from July the 5th to August the 20th. And my next video will be about Taurus. But wherever Taurus sits in your chart, you are meant to pour in your energy and develop your skills and develop that part of your chart. Build that part of your chart. Lean into Taurian behaviors of self-sufficiency and independence and grounded, self-reliant effulgence, coming from a place of self-worth and self-esteem that isn't trappedly scorpionic. And about not my last video, which was on the new moon, but two videos ago and 3 videos ago, I covered this, at least conceptually, what I mean by that. But the house that Taurus occupies and what that house stands for needs to be built and developed right now, and for much of next year as well. But right now, there's definitely a sense of urgency to it. And we had the solar eclipse on April the 30th, and the week before and after today, June the 30th, may bring developments in this Taurus part of our chart as well. Now, why, when we are getting ready to talk about transits related to Mars and Venus and Mercury, am I mentioning all this? Mars is in Aries. Any planet that transits through Aries is going to square Pluto in Capricorn. And the Mars-Pluto square happens tomorrow on July the 1st. The new moon in Cancer occurred 2 days ago, and just before the moon squared Jupiter in Aries. So we have, within about 48 to 72 hours, two squares occurring to planets that are in Aries. Jupiter is trying to create the start of a 12-year cycle and the end of a 12-year cycle in the Aries part of your chart. Mars has been in Aries for the last 40 odd days or 35 odd days, and has been energizing that part of the chart and allowing you to contemplate and go after goals in that part of the chart, giving all of us a sense of self-assertion and directness, and also alerting us to and maybe requiring us to create boundaries and deal with conflict in a direct manner. My point with all of this is the first of the transits I want to talk about is Mars squaring Pluto tomorrow. But keep in mind that even though Mars squares Pluto tomorrow, on August the 24th, Mars will trine Pluto. Mars moves into Taurus on July the 5th. And on August the 24th, do I have that right? I think I do, but let me just make sure if you don't mind. Mars trine Pluto. What is the date I have for that? Sorry, July 20. No. Avi, calm down. August 14th, 2022. August 14th. Something didn't seem right because Mars leaves Taurus on August 20th. I know that. So I was like, it can't be August the 24th. On August the 14th of 2022, Mars trines Pluto. Mars squaring Pluto in Capricorn is alerting you to some sort of situation where you need to take some action either to pursue goals or to defend yourself against something, against some sort of an attack in the Aries part of your chart, so that this Plutonian transformation in the Capricorn part of your chart can continue. But it's not the end of the story. This is why I'm going through all these houses, because Mars will enter Taurus on July the 5th, and my next video will be about this, where it is that you're meant to lean into. And if you, when I said in my new moon video that there's some action that we're meant to take. A lot of this action has to do with clearing up confusion that may have been caused during Mercury retrograde in May the 10th, as you headed towards May the 10th to June the 3rd. It could be that during that time you learned something, things came up. They may have, in a typically Mercury retrograde way, you might be grateful for the clarity or grateful for what was brought up. Not entirely, because Mercury retrogrades bring up stuff in ways that we're not entirely happy about. They're always uncomfortable. They're always a wrench in the plan, typically. At this point in time, about a month after, almost a month after Mercury's now been direct, we might be appreciating what we now know that we did not know as we headed to May the 10th. As I say with Mercury retrograde, things move along. Mercury goes retrograde, and we're like, oh, I didn't know this. I have to factor this into whatever was going on and how the plans were going on. But when the stuff comes up, it can create a certain amount of chaos and confusion. And with Mercury transiting Gemini till July the 5th, just for a few more days, and Venus currently transiting Gemini and just moving past the shadow period of Mercury retrograde, we may now be, and because Mercury retrograde happened in the signs of Gemini and Taurus, and with Mars coming into Taurus on July the 5th, we may now be feeling a sense of urgency and a kind of innate intuitive knowledge that certain actions need to be taken to resolve something or create a resolution. Creating a resolution can allow things to move forward with greater knowledge and awareness and respect. Sometimes creating a resolution can mean that certain things have to come to an end. But creating a resolution means that something that is bothering us in our consciousness, whatever came up in Mercury retrograde, is looking to get integrated. And this square, this Mars square Pluto that is occurring tomorrow that you may have been feeling over the past week, may be indicating a need to take some action, a need perhaps to communicate, a need to, and it's either in the pursuit of goals in the Aries part of your chart or defending yourself in the Aries part of your chart that needs to be done in order to allow this Plutonian transformation to occur in the Capricorn part of your chart. And this Plutonian transformation, and especially with the transits that are going through in Taurus, the eclipse in Taurus and other transits that are, it's really, the Pluto transformation is very active right now because we've got planets squaring it in Aries, the last of which is tomorrow for now, trining it from Taurus, and then when the planets go into Cancer, they're gonna oppose Pluto. So and there's something very, intriguing about the fact that all Pluto and Saturn and Neptune are now in the last few degrees of their sign. Now Saturn is going to go back, it's retrograde, it's going to travel faster and go back further than Pluto or Neptune. But still, March 2023, when Saturn is out of Aquarius, is not that far away. Thanks for bearing with me all this time. So Mars square Pluto may be a feeling, and because it's a transit that is encoded into the new moon, we may be now feeling like some action needs to be taken, and it colors this lunar cycle that's going to last another 26 days. The other transits that occurred were another square with Pluto, another square with a planet in Aries, Jupiter, the new moon, before the new moon occurred. Both the sun a couple of days before the new moon and the moon a few hours before the new moon squared Jupiter in Aries. The Cancer part of your chart is less long-term impacted, but there may be, the action that needs to be taken may very much be linked currently, temporarily, to the Cancer part of your chart. So if, for example, you're Leo rising, it may be that you need to address something that's going on behind the scenes that is invisible to you. If you're a Cancer rising, you may be feeling like you need to take very yang, very external steps to resolve something. Enough is enough about this. Let's get on the table and let's start to move. Your new year is getting underway, and you may feel like, I want to get this new year moving. If you're a Libra rising, temporarily you may feel like some action needs to be taken in the career part of your chart where Cancer sits, so that whatever it is that needs to be discussed or resolved or brought up can go through this process. So the Cancer part of your chart may give you a clue thematically right now as to what part of the chart action needs to be taken to help these transits along. But we've got Mars squaring Pluto, and then Mars, as it makes its way through Taurus, will trine Pluto on August the 24th. So as you head towards whatever it is that's coming up that needs resolution, I think if you take the steps that need to be taken as you head towards August the 24th, you might realize that by that time actions need to be taken in the Taurus part of your chart that will assist with much greater flow this Plutonian transformation in the Capricorn part of your chart. The transits in Aries square Pluto and Capricorn, the transits in Taurus trine, harmoniously support Pluto and Capricorn. Okay? How do we move towards this resolution? And I've been talking about this for the past 3 videos. Here's what I wrote down because I felt like I needed to write this down. Speaking from a place of higher self-worth can resolve issues that came up during Mercury retrograde because you're likely not going to come from a place of insecurity. Let me say that again. Speaking from a place of higher self-worth, channeling the energy of Venus and Gemini, communicating from a place of higher self-worth, grounded, peaceful, clarity that is seeking to understand and assimilate whatever came up during Mercury retrograde, as opposed to falling into patterns of accusatoriness or tantruminess. Now, speaking from a place of higher self-worth can resolve issues that came up during Mercury retrograde because you're likely not going to come from a place of insecurity. Easier said than done. And it could be, because Mercury is in Gemini for another 5 or 6 days, that you plan or think about whatever it is. Mercury trines Saturn and squares Neptune on July the 2nd. So on July the 1st, we have Mars squaring Pluto. On July the 2nd, we have Mercury squaring Neptune and trining Saturn. So you may think, even communicate, write down, plan, start thinking about how to move forward with this resolution. And it could be that over the next 2 weeks, because as you head to the Capricorn new moon on the 13th, by that time, Venus, on the day of the Capricorn new moon on July the 13th, trines Saturn, and the next day squares Neptune, or vice versa. But between the 13th, 14th, that's what happens. So, and that energy can really, if you tap into this place of, and remember, coming from a place of security means not being overly invested in the outcome, because in certain cases, what you learn or how things forward may mean that something needs to be put to rest, needs to end. Or in other cases, something constructive can be built out of incorporating whatever was learned during the Mercury retrograde process. Does that make sense? I'm going to leave it at this because we've reached the 20-minute mark. I may actually continue with this in the next video, and I might do that tomorrow before I get to the Taurus video. But I'm just going to leave you with these thoughts. Mars squares Pluto tomorrow, only to trine Pluto again August the 14th. And more interestingly, no, not more interestingly, Mercury trines Saturn and squares Neptune on July the 2nd, and then Venus trines Saturn on July the 13th and squares Neptune on July the 14th. July the 13th is the day of the Capricorn full moon. There's a narrative developing here, and there's actually more to share. So I am going to continue this tomorrow. If you liked it, found this useful, feel free to share, tell your friends about it, subscribe to my YouTube channel, click on the bell icon, the little wiggly signal on top. When you click on the bell icon to be notified when I do new videos, feel free to comment, like, do whatever you can to kind of give the channel whatever. I will leave that PR portion alone and leave it at this, and be back tomorrow so we can continue to develop this narrative. But think about what you feel you learned during that Mercury retrograde process during much of May, and what you feel needs to be done to bring a certain amount of peace and calm and resolution to a situation without getting too attached to the outcome. Because with the new moon conjunct Lilith, we're going to be very clear about what is going to work for us and not going to work for us. Okay, that's in the new moon video last. And if you find this interesting, take a look at my last 2 or 3 videos, because it develops these themes that are still currently developing. More to follow.